Welcome, everybody, to the Loud and Drunk podcast. This is Dan, and if we sound different in this episode, it's because we are moving. So we're in a little bit of a transitional phase right now, so bear with us, and that's actually what we're going to be talking about today, Moses, moving. I'm sure you've had a lot of fun over the last, month and a half?
I think we sound great for being in the back of a U-Haul while we're on the interstate. But, it's been a chore just relocating everything and just getting the vibe of the new spot.
Justin, you've so graciously taken us into your home as we're doing this. We're not in the back of a U-Haul, as Moses has so eloquently phrased it.
This is a nice U-Haul.
It is a nice U-Haul. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
5
Proper
stars
framing in
for
here
that.
and everything. Yeah.
Stop phrasing it like this. Justin, you did a great job setting us up for this spot.
Yeah, so, basically, we'll get into the nitty-gritty as we go through the episode, but there are multiple things being moved around. Our old podcasting joint is in flux. There's been personal businesses moved in the past month or so. I've only been involved in a small way in that, but in an incredibly annoying way, too.
Yeah.
And, there's been a lot going on.
Oh, you're
and,
the intermediary.
well, that is my life. But
You're HR.
I'm the farthest from it. But yes, our whole Loud and Drunk podcast life is in flux this summer. It's a crazy summer for us, but we're getting locked down and good things to come.
And I am Al Borland, the previous owner of where we were doing the podcast. It was my bar. It was my workshop, but we had a bar out of there. I ended up selling that house, moving to a new location, which is under renovations right now. So that's a fun little thing by itself. On top of that, helped with the moving of the aforementioned business, the moving of this podcast. So a lot of things moving around in my life. Actually, there's cats involved in this story. Moved some cats. That's probably like the hardest part of it, I think. Everything else was like, if you really get fed up, you can just like cut your own brake line and just see what happens, and maybe you don't have to move anything. Cats is a different story.
Couldn't
So
you just not hit the brakes?
No, you want to take that control out of it altogether.
All right.
Yeah, that's how I typically go about it. But yeah, so moved the workshop, moved the location of the podcast, moved my own personal home, assisted with moving the business, cat mover extraordinaire. So a lot of moving. I'm happy to dive into this today. I feel like maybe I've got some stories.
But before we get going, I just want to encourage you to subscribe to this podcast, especially on YouTube. Make sure that you're hitting that notification bell and bookmark loudanddrunk.com. You can catch up on the podcast there and check out some merch. Everything Loud and Drunk, head on over there. All right, guys, let's get into this. Justin, I said at the top, you did a fantastic job setting us all up. Take us through what happened with moving the podcast and all that stuff.
So this is kind of like a needs must type situation right here. So we've done the podcast since the beginning at our esteemed guests bar/workshop/ outbuilding, whatever.
There was occasionally a cat emporium.
Yes, it was. For a certain period of time.
Like everybody remembers Furious George, the cat. Yeah.
It is where we started. It is what we attempted to sound treat. It was our home for a long time. And not only our home, but also not exclusively a podcast studio.
Right. Yeah.
So we often had to be generally broken down and put away after every.
I feel like it kind of went in the order of it was like a woodworking shop first,
primarily,
and then it was a bar.
It was a business first.
Well, it was a business once, yeah. Then it was a woodworking shop, right? Then it was a bar, right? And then it was a pet store for a little while.
Yeah, there was a hot minute where there was the podcast cat.
Yeah. And they kind of overlapped with each other at times.
Yeah, Fury chimed in on a few podcasts.
He did.
Yeah. He's chiming into my life right now. He chimed in on the move.
We'll get into that.
We will definitely get into all the minutia, but essentially where we are recording right now is now in my garage. For a temporary period of time, I had to figure out a whole way to do this because we had, when we say we recorded from a bar, it was quite literally a bar.
Yeah.
So that's how we started. We just attached microphones to a bar, and it actually
worked
out pretty well.
Yeah, shockingly.
But yes, now we are in my garage, which is a multi-purpose space.
You got a pet shop in here?
I don't keep pets in here.
I don't even see Michael C. Hall.
Oh, no, he's hiding.
Yeah. I'd say he's probably still scared.
He's doing Dexter-y things.
But so the soundscape may come across different, and we'll see how that works out in post. However, yeah, we're doing what we got to do right now, and there are bigger and better things coming along. We got a whole bunch of new tech that has also coincided with this move that you're not necessarily fully hearing here, but you will most likely in the future. And yeah, it's things grow and things change, and we're doing the best we can, baby.
I'll say this. I feel like the most jarring thing to me about not being in the bar right now is that I'm drinking this high noon, and it is delicious. It's quite nice, but it just doesn't feel like a bar drink. It's far too refreshing.
Well, you're not at a bar.
That's true. Yes, I guess it works out.
You know what the most
feels
jarring
fine.
thing is to me? I can see all of you, and I don't like what I'm seeing.
No,
There's
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
ugly faces in this room.
All right. See, if I could, in my garage, I have a lot of seating and I have tables that we figured this out. I put Dan in the best chair. It's like a computer chair that's slightly elevated.
It
It
has
look
racing
more
stripes.
comfortable than this. Like,
I got it on sale. But
I got a very good.
the rest of us are sitting in these like $15 Costco folding chairs,
I think mine has
plastic.
blood on it.
That might be your blood.
I feel like that's your
Blood
blood.
is blood.
Just
Life is
bleeding everywhere he
chaos.
goes.
And the people that have hung out here in the most is probably myself and Moses. So like, I don't think it might be my blood, but it's also very likely probably your blood.
It could be.
This is a very interesting mystery for the podcast. It would work better if we had a visual, but we don't. So maybe we'll get to the bottom of it at a later
I'm sure
point
the
in time.
blood will be there when we wrap.
I will
Take
say that,
pictures.
like, just to tie in with the mystery that is Moses, I will say there were so many times where we would finish the podcast at the old location.
Yeah.
You know, and Justin and Dan, like, you guys would depart, and Moses on those occasional nights where he wasn't being driven there and needed to leave at a particular time and would linger, you know, sometimes past when he was welcome. And then he would just say, you know, like, in the typical Moses fashion, you know, fuck you nerds, even though I'm the only one there. And then he would be like, I'm going to Justin's bar. And I would say, like, Justin doesn't have a bar. And then I would find out the next day that he just came here to this very garage.
Yes.
And like broke in. And he would like find a broken window in the morning and he's just drunk inside or something to that effect. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but it's only a little
I
bit.
didn't have to break in.
So
I had a key.
a little bit of like background here without like giving too much away. We're not neighbors.
Yeah.
Like,
There's
we're-
a lot of driving.
We're old school friends, but like life goes on, you move places. Moses and I live fairly close to each other, probably about 10 minutes away from each other. Dan, you're somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
Probably like 20 to an hour and a half away, depending on traffic. And
It could be 3 days.
yeah. And where our guest lived was generally on like normal circumstances about a half hour away, but also like an hour to 2 hours away, depending on
And
traffic.
to put this in perspective, I understand that it was just said that we don't live in the same neighborhood, but for those of you who don't live in New Jersey, we actually do live in the same neighborhood. We're only a few houses away from each other, but the distance, even though it's only like a couple of blocks, sometimes it does take hours.
It's a battle.
The traffic is just
Yes.
brutal.
It is an absolute battle. And so this is oddly inversed it, so I don't want to become the new Moses, but I'm very conscious of that. Like, I will try to pace myself.
One of us.
But
Google gobble out of this guy.
with all things in flux, like there are designs and plans for a new studio in the future, and we will eventually get there. But hang on for the crazy right now because we're doing the best that we can.
Yeah. I think it's a very nice setup.
Now, being this close to my actual house, now I can kind of.
You are on notice, sir.
Yeah.
Now I can kind of let loose.
I don't know what you were doing before.
Yeah. I edit these podcasts. I know how sloppy you get. You can hear it. I know there's no cameras, but it's noticeable.
Strap in, folks.
Oh, good. Goodness gracious. We're going to have to take this podcast to another state with you.
We very well may have to.
There's only 2 that will allow it.
New Jersey's pricing us out, baby. We gotta go.
But Mr. Borland, the reason that we're moving the podcast, obviously you've moved.
Yes.
And I'm certain there's a whole lot of stories that are involved with that.
Yeah, so I don't really know where to begin with it. So I was living on a very nice but very small home. more or less, I kind of outgrew it. My lovely lady, I was living with a single cat, and that was quite lovely. I know where you're going to go with that, Moses. The cat is indeed single, but I meant just a singular cat that I was living with.
In fact, I think I was the one that was going to jump in.
He is
phrased that
single.
inadequately.
He is single. If anybody's looking, you're not.
You
good
lit
enough
up
for
with
him.
your lovely lady and then started describing a cat.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Man loves his
I've been
pussy.
honestly like these high noons are really going to me. So yeah, basically I outgrew the property a bit. It was about a third of an acre, which is a hell of a lot in New Jersey. They built shopping malls on that here.
Yeah.
So I was shopping around for a house for a very long time, found something with a substantial amount of land, many acres, a little bit further south in the state. You get into like the boonies where it starts being a little bit more like Alabama than what people think of when they think of New Jersey anyway. It's certainly not Newark. And so it kind of like all happened
the
in it.
opposite of Newark.
Yeah, in many
Polar
ways it is.
opposite.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, so found this house, happened very quickly. Ended up selling my old house to a friend of a friend sort of scenario. So I was able to avoid a lot of the headaches that go with that and adopt a couple of new ones.
Yeah, we won't name him, but shout out to him. He's been an absolutely gracious motherfucker.
Yeah,
Throughout
absolutely.
this whole
Yes.
process.
Yeah, so more or less, we had a bar there, which was in a totally separate building, pretty much dedicated towards that, despite being a pet shop, an occasional workshop, etc. So more or less lost that. This all happened like pretty quickly. And right now living in a house which is larger. It's got a fully finished basement, which I would love to talk at some point about, just like how delightful it is to have a basement versus a crawl space, because that's just like the
There
main
is-
Seems
yeah.
nice.
I've
Yeah.
had both, and I prefer the basement.
Yeah. Crawl space is just like the
Yeah.
bane of anyone's existence.
Yeah, I'm having an active problem with my crawl space, so
Yeah.
I can get on board with
It's
that.
the worst
Absolutely.
part of a basement.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So the new property that I've got, and this is the reason that I purchased it, there's, so I said a lot of acres. It's 11 acres, which I know in much of the country doesn't sound like a lot.
But here in New Jersey, that's God's land.
That's absolutely, yeah. You're in God's country when
Yeah.
you're on my property. Well, right now I am without my proper pet shop, studio, woodworking shop, etc. I am going to be building a proper Old West saloon there, which I'm quite excited for. Done in all of the old-fashioned ways. I'm happy to field any questions, Moses. And therein, I plan to kind of develop a new studio out of it and what have you. So the process itself, though, has been it's just at length. I mean, any part of it I could talk about for hours if you want to do like a 12-part series.
I do a general quantification of pain in the dick.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Listening to him, yes.
Moving is like, and there's probably places where it's easier. New Jersey is notoriously tough. It's,
Yeah.
if any of us had any sense, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But family, friends, all these things that anchor you.
The same reason anybody stays anywhere.
It is absolutely true. But if you want to look at it like a logical sense, to look at what we have, like most of us here, we're not renting. We have a house. You practically get a gold medal here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And then like anything beyond that is incredible here.
Yeah, and even like logistically, what I would say about moving, my experience with just selling a house and then purchasing a new one. And I don't know how much this varies around the country because, like, for example, like the banks that I went through are banks that operate for the most part regionally or nationally. So I think that like even if you're selling a house in Alabama, like unless you're doing a private sale, you're still going to have to deal with some of this bullshit. For example, like I was selling my old house, and just to like do something like the survey, where you have to like, present the paperwork that shows like where the borders of the property are. It was like the first documents that we sent over. So you're allowed to reuse like the old survey because obviously the property lines didn't change.
You got so bananas hosed in this particular situation.
So ridiculous. Yeah, buying and selling. With the buying, I just straight up, because it's 11 acres, it's heavily wooded, and the surveying companies that I spoke to, 3 of them, and they just said no. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And they're like, no, we're not going to do that. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, did I not describe this correctly? And they're like, no, we're just not going to survey your property. We don't want to do it. And I was like, why?
It's like, what are you supposed to do then?
Yeah. And I straight up, I asked them, I was like, why? And they were like, it's too big. And there's a bunch of woods there and it's swampy in some parts. And I'm like, okay. I was like, but your job is to do that.
Are these people that are surveying property in the Navy?
Right.
Yeah, that sounds like such a Navy answer.
And like that's what really got me about it, because I said to the one guy, after like I got it rejected by the first guy, I was like, all right, they're dicks. Let me call the next one.
It reminds me of that Christopher Walker's like, put your gun down. No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Like, what do you mean no?
Yeah.
I mean,
I said
no.
I said to the third company, I was like, listen, just give me a fuck you price.
Right.
I mean, what, like you say $10,000, I will say no. And then, we just get off the phone. But it costs you nothing to say 10 grand. And they were just like, no, there's no price. And I wanted, I didn't want to be like a dick, but it's like, you're not going to, like, what if I was a billionaire? You know, like $1 million to walk around 11 acres.
Right.
If Ted DiBiase taught me anything, everyone's got a price.
Yeah, right. Not these guys. These surveyors must get paid well.
There is something to that, though, because it's like, I know a lot of people, my brother being one, who's an independent contractor of sorts, and it's like, yes, you have a price, and then you have your fuck you price. But if they're willing to pay your fuck you price,
Then you fucking do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody's got a fuck you price. And then on the flip side of it, selling the property, the person who's buying it, again, a friend of mine. So he hits me back and he's like, hey, do you have like a copy of the survey?
There's a lot of grace in that. But yeah.
And I was like, absolutely, here it is. Send it over. It's like fucking 12 pages. It's got multiple drawings of the property. All the things are there, etc. It should be everything they need.
We bought our houses around the same time. So it's like from 2014.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not that old. And again, the property lines have not changed.
No.
So there's nothing that you really need to know. And this is in a
easement
neighborhood.
changes,
This
no
is not
nothing.
like,
Yeah.
this is not like, backing up to a river. It's like, it's just a regular fucking house in a neighborhood. And the title company said to him, no. And the reason that they said that is because the copies that I gave him, which are the copies from the original title company, had like a small, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like when you photocopy something, it sometimes gets like a black mark on it.
Like a splotch.
Yeah, it's like a little splotch. And it didn't interrupt anything that you needed to see, but they were like, this is illegible. And it's like,
Yeah,
and it's
it's
like,
like
but it's,
there's
but it's,
just grass
but it's
there.
covering,
Like-
it's covering just white paper, where there would be grass. And they were like, yeah, but we don't know that it's covering just that. I'm like, well, you do, because it's in the middle of the lawn.
And also,
so like,
you
what
went
was it
there.
gonna, yeah, right? And it was
And if
like a
I
whole
can
thing.
interject, stop using fax machines. Fuck
yeah,
you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but they all still use them. It's absurd.
I've always found that odd about medical. Like, there's a lot of faxing, and it's like, we're kind of above this. Like, if we have the technology to not have to fax, why are we doing that?
I can easily do it with my phone, a picture.
Yeah.
And it's like, nope, has to be through the fax.
I don't get that.
And that's what, because you're dealing
Bizarre.
with companies. They usually have these larger fax built-in printer machines and stuff like that. And you get these infractions.
Yeah.
These dots, these ink splots.
Yeah. Little illegible parts.
Yeah. And there you go. Fuck you over for forever.
Exactly. Yeah. The whole thing, though, was just so logistically difficult. And it's done now. So I am very happy about that. But I mean, it was basically coming and going. It was so fucking over the top.
If I can poke in real quick, we laughed about in the early stages of it because without real estate agent, it's a friend.
Yeah.
So like you had somebody you knew draw up the contract and stuff like that. You're dealing with less of the structure than typical, and you still cannot escape.
Yeah. I cut out like half the people from this. And
it
even
really
still-
shouldn't be that hard.
No, yeah, but it is. It's the title company, because the title company has
companies
to
are
do
the
the
worst.
work, of like informing the government basically that this house no longer belongs to this person and this is the person that it belongs to. And you're just not allowed to like do that yourself. Like you can't like call up, at least in New Jersey, you can't call up your municipal government and say like, hey, I moved and this is the new guy and here he is on the phone.
No,
and here's all of his information.
You gotta let them know when you're painting your living room.
Yeah. They just it's just like that. It's just overly complicated. And you pay a title company a minimum in New Jersey. It's a flat fee of $2,000, and it goes up from there for the privilege of them like doing this bullshit. But I mean, it's like, and that's like, I get it if you're buying a house from like a total stranger and like you don't want to get fucked. That's also why you get an attorney if you're concerned about that. Like I didn't use that for this, and like everybody told me, like all of these, like the title company and like the various different like loan officers and such. They were like, you should really get an attorney for it. And I'm like, but I don't really like. I'll just read the paperwork. Right. I know that it's basic cut and dry paperwork. I am selling the house for this much money,
and you have people around you that can help you.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of my mother worked for an attorney for many years.
She was a paralegal for like forever.
Yeah, she could write up the document and
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I went into it much better than a lot of people did.
Absolutely.
And even still, it was just like such a fucking pain in the ass. And while you're doing all of that, you're also trying to like pick up your entire life, because it's not, for me, it's not a second home. It's like, this is where I live.
I'm making a full change.
Yeah.
Exchange to one.
Yeah.
1 to 1. I'm leaving one, going into one. And you get stuck in the middle of that sort of situation.
All this fucking paperwork. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
If I could, this would be a quick interstitial, but like when I bought my house in 2014, and like you guys know this very well, they did a title search and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well,
my
name in the next town over, there's another person with my same exact name.
Yep.
And he has a bunch of liens and doesn't pay child support. So I got hung up for a long time, even though we have separate social security numbers, having to fill out paperwork after paperwork after paperwork after paperwork after
Prove
paperwork.
you're not the same.
Even though we're 13 years different in age.
Yeah.
And you're also
And
not the same person.
not the
so
same
you don't
person.
get-
Yeah.
The amount of paperwork I had to submit and resubmit and resubmit and fax and fax and fax
Yeah.
and fax that I was not this person who is definitely not me, but also has the same name as me.
Yeah.
Different middle names, by the way, so it's not like full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, how many fucking John Smiths are there in this
Right.
country? It's not like an.
Well, I mean, that's a bad example. But
but you know what I'm saying? It's that like a lot of people have the same
Yeah.
first and last name.
Yeah.
There's obviously first names are fucking common as shit. I know
Yeah.
like fucking 7 Johns.
Yeah.
You know, and then as far as last names go, I mean, Smith is the example.
yeah,
you know,
but-
I mean, like there's a multitude.
that's
of
as
names.
common as Muhammad.
Yeah, I like that. That's
Wow.
what you went with.
Muhammad's
What
like
are we
the
living in
most
Saudi
common
Arabia?
name.
What is the point of middle names if they don't count, by the way?
Yeah,
It-
And yet you're in an
it's
exact
so
situation.
true.
yeah.
It's so true.
But you have to fill it out. They really emphasized me when I was doing my paperwork. They were like, they're like, because I normally don't like I have a middle name, but like I don't put it down.
Yeah.
Because it's not relevant. So I just don't put it in there. You know, so just, I
I
don't know.
stopped.
It's like-
I literally stopped.
And they were like, you have to. They're like, do you have a middle name? And it's like somebody that I've been working with for a minute, like this title company. So you're talking to them every fucking day, and they're like, do you have a middle name? And I'm like, you know that I do. You've got my license, so you
Yeah.
know that I do. And they're like, you have to put it down here. And I'm like, why? And they're like, you have to put it down. And then it was like,
Is your
really
middle
emphasized-
name on your license? Why not just like abbreviate it next time you get your
No,
new
I think
license?
that in New Jersey they make you put the full middle name there. I would have to take it out of my wallet.
I would
I'm
have to
too
look
lazy for
too.
that.
I don't think my full middle name is on there.
I didn't know that you had a middle name.
This is also
Was it
news to me
Muhammad?
as well.
That's a good callback.
Oh, but it's crazy. So, like, I mean, just dealing with the title stuff. My first name, last name. Like, I have not the most common first name, but it's mid-level.
Yeah, it's pretty common.
I have a last name who hilariously is, I'm a very white person. Most people with my last name are black.
Is that true? I didn't know that.
It is.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
I didn't know that either.
Oh, my aunt and uncle got really confused on Ancestry.com.
A lot of dark avenues
All
there.
right, that's another
Pun
podcast
intended.
because I want to hear all
You
about
decide,
this.
Dan.
Yeah. For me to have a person who is 13 years older than me, who's evidently a giant piece of shit, doesn't pay child, and just all the liens in the world. Like, you've never paid a bill when an electrician or plumber came or anything.
That guy bought
Literally.
a house yesterday.
Like house
no
liens.
questions asked.
The amount of paperwork I had to do to prove
That you're
that I was not this
that's,
person.
Yeah, and that's the absurd thing. It's like I genuinely don't get that. You've got a social security number.
Yeah.
You've got your birthday. It's all information that like you submit all over the place to confirm who you are.
Even
And
if they're
then-
not tracking us, everybody has this.
Yeah, and then it's not accepted
No.
when you need something. You know, it's like
And it's like, it's the weirdest shit. So it's like, how do you prove that you did not pay child support to a family you don't know about?
when I was doing this with the title agency, they go through all the questions, and there's like a notary there and what have
Of
you.
course, yeah.
And they were like, "Are you married?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Do you have any kids?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Okay, is this your birthday?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Do you have any kids?" I'm like, no.
No.
I just
So they're
said
just
it now.
trying to trap
Yeah,
you.
yeah, and they like
It's
multiple
an
times they asked
interrogation.
me, and I'm like, I really like is everybody like not paying their child support? Like Jesus Christ, fucking pay your child support. I
Did
guess.
they,
I
did
was
they
like,
ask
but it's
if
not
you
my
wanted
problem.
to pay for some kids?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
And it is the funny thing. So, like, you know, like information share, but it's like, I get because they're trying to figure out if I'm this person or not. This other me in the next town over was like $56,000 in debt in child support.
yeah, yeah. It's not even a
And
lot.
that was just the child support.
And they
Then
could
there
put,
were
like,
fucking
liens on your
home
shit.
liens and stuff.
Well, I mean,
like
once you're
that.
56 down, you might as well just keep it going.
Yeah, that kid's got to be 18 by now.
Yeah. I like that you base that off of
Oh,
nothing.
Let me just add this before like I taper off on this, but like some of the earliest liens when I was like 4 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
You were a smart kid.
Very advanced in many ways.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. Just like what you were just saying, Al. It reminds me of boot camp. When they
Yeah.
would look, you were lining up, and they would just ask you a question like, "What is a spread eagle in terms of the rank insignia?" Don't look too much further.
All right.
I thought we were getting like after dark.
You know, my cat's single.
And then you would answer the question like,
Your cat's a wop.
Oh,
That's terrible.
No.
What?
"The cat's
Awful.
yeah, well, okay. But then you would answer the question, and they have the option to go over to the next person and be like, "Is he right?" And you're like, "Oh," and now you're like, "Oh, is he right? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? Like, maybe I do have a kid that I don't know. I'm not paying child support."
Oh, almighty government! What do you know that I do not?
You tell me.
It sounds like you got picked up for boot camp, like in Central Park. You found yourself like somewheres in Michigan, just getting grilled.
Yes, Al, your life is in total flux.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's fucking ridiculous.
It's been our home base. Like, that's your home base.
Yeah.
It's been our home base for the podcast. So, like, we're up in the air, and that's fine because we can adapt and overcome. It's what we
Yeah.
do here. We figure it out.
Yeah.
Never give up, never surrender.
Yeah, exactly.
A good friend
also-
told me that, Dan.
Yeah, I know what you're doing there.
Yeah.
But you guys are also tied to a business we had to move
Yeah, that was
Yep.
fun.
in the same goddamn month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was nice. Yeah, yeah. Moses, you got a lot of things to say about that all the rest of the time.
Yeah, it was ridiculous the way it was done.
You can't bring any of that vernacular onto the podcast. You got to just nothing.
But
You are. You know what? I was there for one day. I'll tell the story. So essentially, this is another essentially town to town move, but it's warehouse level. A lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah.
How big was your initial?
So the original warehouse was 1,600 square feet.
pack tight.
Yeah, with a roll up door, which is
Yep.
nice. The warehouse that we moved to is 2,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Also with a roll up door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it should be easy.
Should be easy, and in some ways was, other ways not so much. I got brought in, as I'm very happy to do. I used to drive a big truck for work, and I'm always happy to do it. I'm comfortable doing it, and I do it very safely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, moving warehouse. That's a big fucking thing, man.
Yeah.
Big fucking thing. Because you have a bunch of product, assorted product
Yeah.
of all different types. Easy to thrash around. Not so easy to thrash around. Mugs.
Yeah. 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 Coffee mugs. And
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah. And also,
None
I
of
felt
them
like
broke.
it was shockingly none of them broke.
I was very careful.
I felt like, yeah, right. That was like a whole thing. We were talking about Fabergé eggs in the back of
Yeah.
the box truck. I felt like it was like, and I feel like this is relatable to any move. So like, I'll use my personal experience, and I feel like the warehouse was like this in general. But I think that any move, it involves at least a little bit of an element of this. I won't call myself like a minimalist. I would love to be, but I
None
have
of us
like,
can, but I understand what you're saying.
I lived in a 600 square foot house.
You have a little bit of feng shui to you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't have a lot of stuff because I couldn't fit it, and even within that house, like I didn't really like have a lot of the stuff that like people accumulate.
Right.
I'm like cheap as shit, so it's like I don't buy anything. So I was like, I really don't have that much that I have to worry about here, and that was true for my bedroom. That was like 2 boxes, 3 boxes, couple garbage bags of clothes.
Yeah.
You know, I have like, my laundry room, 1 box, bathroom, 1 box, living room was like, it's the furniture, but it's
Right.
like whatever bullshit I got laying around, some books, some candles, this, that, a couple of boxes at most, right? And I was like, great, this is all going according to plan. And then I started packing up my kitchen, and the boxes just kept getting filled up.
That's
and
what
I just,
the kitchen
and it's
gets
just
you
like,
every
That's
time.
and it's just
bizarre
like-
because you don't really cook that.
I do
much.
cook. You're just
Yeah.
too high, and you don't realize that I've made you a delicious meal.
I remember eating a raw, it wasn't raw. It
You
was
were
just like a
complaining that it was
half-cooked
overcooked
salmon.
that day. So which one is it, Moses? Was it raw or was it overcooked?
This
Or
is
was
the-
it Ross?
The bottom line is that I filled up like fucking 20 boxes out of my kitchen. And some of it was just like, I don't know if everybody does this, but it's like, I've heard that it's like that, that you're a poor person in America if you have a junk drawer, which I didn't know that everybody didn't have those. And I'm
I
sorry if I'm
figured
calling
everybody,
anybody.
like, I don't
no,
think that's
apparently
just a
rich
poor
people
thing.
don't. And I don't know what
Why?
rich really means.
How do you exist?
How do you not have a junk
Yeah.
drawer?
They hire illegals to get rid of the junk for them.
Yeah,
Oh.
I guess. Yeah. But like I had like 2 junk
They
drawers
also might
there.
just-
So I'm like a poor person who made it. It's like I got 2 of those drawers.
If you're wealthy enough, you probably just throw that shit out.
I guess,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or
But
you
like
just
where
have
else will-
expensive junk that you need like a lot of room for. So
honestly, like, and I'm getting off on a tangent right now,
No.
but it's like if you're like,
I never
I
heard
get that you're that
before.
wealthy, but like, what'll happen one day if like you need like 72 twist ties that came on the bread,
There
or like like some
are-
soy sauce
there
packets.
are
You gotta call the help
or
to
like a
figure
lighter
out
that's just
what
about
the
empty,
bread
but there's
is.
a little bit of juice left in there.
You cannot see it, but about 2 feet behind Moses, there's about 14 drawers
Yeah.
that are labeled,
They are all labeled.
that have all the little miscellaneous
Yeah.
things from my life.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that,
Yeah.
That,
Also, like, I thought,
that
once
one
again,
says
tangent here.
1986.
Well, like, I was going through these
We don't
junk
talk about
drawers.
that drawer.
I was trying to, like, actually, because I was like, this kitchen is, like, really getting over, like, I'm in over my head
The
with
kitchen is what fucks you up because
Yeah.
you never,
Yeah.
because it's full of cabinets.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was going through those drawers though, and it's like, and I'm like, let me get rid of some shit. And I found like a little like fucking sand timer, like an hourglass thing in there. And I was like, I do remember, like, it's not like I was like, where did this come from? I was like, no, I remember that I very distinctly kept this out of like an old board game that
Well,
I
it's
threw
funny
away.
because old board games all had them.
Yeah. And I was like, and I remember like that thought process of like, I better hold on to this because I don't know. And it was almost like a childlike thought of like that an hour, like a sand hourglass is this like cryptic thing that like I can't just like order off of Amazon for like $1.
Well,
didn't
I
we
was like, I
use that
better hold
for,
on to this for the next time that I need a sand hourglass.
Didn't
And,
we
like-
use that for Charlie McDennis?
Oh, we might have. I don't know.
We-
Oh, did we? That was
Which-
a while ago.
May be revisited in the future.
I hope
But
that
we-
I hope so.
We got to get cameras if we're going to do that.
Oh, we-
That's fair.
It's a whole
and
to-do,
like
yeah.
no promises, but it's our goal
Yeah.
to get to
Yeah.
a level where we can do something
Yeah.
like that.
We have a lot of games to play.
We'll be doing this in
Yes,
the old
we
saloon,
do.
I hope. But yeah, so the kitchen got way out of hand. In some ways, I exhibit that hoarder tendency where I'm like, well, as I just said with the hourglass, obviously. But it's like, and in other ways, I'm like, let me just get rid of this because it is stupid to keep it. So I'm like conscious of it at least. But it's like, I'm like going through like my cabinets and what have you, and it's like a can of soup, and there's like and it cost me like 50 cents, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to throw this away because it's a good can of soup, but it's like I've got a box filled with cans of soup, and I'm just like, I have to fucking carry this box like all the way down my gravel driveway
all
and put it in the
kinds
back
of house
I think
drugs
what
going
you're
on.
realizing
doing-
is that you have more cans of soup than like.
I don't know why I have so
mementos.
much soup. Also, like the whole reason that I have all of these cans of soup is that I bought them because I was like, man, I'm so lazy that I don't want to make soup all the time, and I just enjoy soup. With that in perspective, and then like I got the cans of soup, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make soup tonight, and it's been that way for years. So the cans of soup just rest there collecting dust, and I eat delicious homemade soup every day.
Yeah.
And now I have to move these cans of soup that I can't bring myself, and it's like all of like $15 worth of goods. That it's gonna cost me more money to drive it to my new
That's
house
a lot of
than
cans
to-
of soup.
I know it's a lot,
lot, yeah.
but it's like 30 cans of soup.
That's
the
like a
soup
ton
cans
of
get more and more every time I tell the story. But yeah.
Here's an interesting thing too, tagging on to the kitchen aspect. Over the years, like through like gifts and just buying things yourself, like kitchen gear, pans, pots, all these different things. I don't know if it's just me. I expect that it's not, but like you tend to find a particular pan,
Oh yeah.
Oh
particular
yeah.
pot that you like, and you only use that, and you got these 9 other pots.
Yeah.
Never get
That's-
used.
Yeah.
I know exactly. I have a saucepan and a frying pan for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Like
those
those
are
ever.
that's my that's my Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah.
I've got yeah, nice, love it. I fortunately was not fully in that boat. I did have a few extras. For mine, it went in a little bit of a different direction. It's that many years ago, I fell in love with cooking in cast iron.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have five-
You have maintained a good, not extensive,
Yeah,
but a
five
fat
nice
collection
yeah.
of.
5 nice cast iron
Yeah.
skillets. I can cook absolutely anything in those. And then I've got maybe like 3 more that are like either like nostalgic in some weird
Yeah.
way, or they're like just for like some thing that I can't do in there, or that it's too much of a pain in the ass to do. And this is why it's a little bit different. So this isn't a story of too much abundance. It's that I put those 5 cast iron skillets into one box, and I was like, God
That's
damn,
heavy.
this is fucking heavy.
Yeah.
How's your back?
Yeah, it's all right now.
You pack your socks and then put the cast iron on, and that's one box.
Yeah,
You're
that's
like-
fair. The socks might even be too much for it, but yeah, it was a heavy load for that one. But yeah, it was like all sorts of other like random bullshit that I
Band
kind of like
name.
forgot about.
It's weird interstitial shit that comes into your life for a brief moment
Mm-hmm.
and then gets forgotten about.
Yeah.
And then it goes into a drawer or it goes into a cabinet.
Yeah.
And then you forget about it until you have to move.
Yeah.
It's like a time capsule.
It kind of is in a way.
And then you're like, when you find it,
It's not a nice
you
time
remember.
No,
Well,
yeah.
sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not so good.
I'll say this. What I lack in the pots and pans department, I've got an abundance with like glassware and such like that. Because I was living alone for 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's like I literally, and like I was actually just joking about it with my lady yesterday. I have all of these like nice glasses and like I keep wine
I had
glasses
to
for
buy
her.
extra forks.
Yeah, that's right. And I've got like wine glasses for her.
Yeah, I
She
want to
likes
tag on after you. So yeah, please.
and like I have like a couple of nice like little glasses for like if we're doing a thing. But I literally, and it's like, and I'm sorry if you guys are disgusted by it, but I have like a single fucking like pint glass with a handle on it, so it's like proper glass, and I drink only out of that, and I don't even clean it because the next drink cleans it out.
I
only need this one
I get
thing.
it, but that's not true.
I have one of those hexagonal like type corner cabinets that you can fit a million glasses in,
Yeah.
and it's full, and I don't use a single one of them.
No, yeah, they don't get used
because I have like two. They're like insulated. They're not even tumblers. They're like 32-ounce glasses that I just use,
and that's all you need.
Yeah.
I rinse them out when I'm done.
Yeah.
I toss them upside down on like my little like drying thing.
The liquids leave them.
Yeah.
Whatever's in there dies from dehydration.
Now,
and then you
also,
drink
like-
out of it again.
In
Or
my
thrives.
So for my job, I work outside. So I have these like half-gallon and full-gallon size like jugs.
Yeah.
They're insulated too of multiple different types, and the same thing. I use that for work because if I don't, I die. I get home, I finish it, I rinse it out, I just stick it upside down.
Yeah. That's all you got to do.
I literally have probably, Christine and I, 40-something, it might even be more. My grasp on numbers is weird.
So, like, in my...
Like, there might be thousands of glasses in there. I don't know.
It's just going for days.
Yeah.
I dispelled
Fucking
while I
Narnia
was
of
facing
glasses.
that like reality myself. I accidentally dispelled what I understood to be like something of a myth. So I went into this cabinet and I was like, I really don't need all of these glasses. Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
My understanding is that when people move, well, you're supposed to like wrap up the glasses so that they don't break.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
literally just like put the I just like kept putting them into boxes, and then I taped the boxes closed. And I was like, and I literally said to myself, I was like, when I get there, most of these will be broken, and I'll take out the good ones, and then I'll have less glasses. And I got to the new house after
That's
like
a
a
good
30-minute
idea.
drive, and I'm driving a fucking pickup truck.
No,
The boxes
yeah.
are sliding around in
No,
the back.
I like that idea.
I
That's-
drive like I forget that I even have stuff. back there.
Survival
So I'm
by
like
the
cutting
fittest.
people off. I'm like driving like an asshole.
Let the fates decide which glasses deserve to be
I
kept.
got there, not a single fucking glass broke.
They all
and I had to
survive.
take them
Sometimes
all
that
out.
happens.
And it's like, and while I was doing it, I felt like such an asshole because it's like, I know that I don't want them. I literally wanted them to break, which means that I know that they're garbage,
right.
but I still took them out and
They
put them
Can
back.
I make
decided
a
on
quick
fate.
point? So when we had to move the warehouse, the last run, we had probably like a 5 or 6 tier shelf that was just nothing but those. I hate to call them porcelain, but coffee
Ceramic.
mugs.
Yeah, yeah,
Ceramic,
coffee
ceramic.
mug,
Ceramic
yeah.
coffee.
Ceramic.
And it was even more shelves than that. It was like 8 shelves, something like that. It was a lot.
Like 1,000 mugs.
There's a shit ton of fucking mugs
Yeah.
in there. Yeah.
And we rolled it on. There was no way to secure them.
Yeah.
No.
Really?
No, they're just like loose on the
We
shelves.
wrapped them. And I'm like, I will drive as safe as I can.
Yeah.
But I fully said there will be X amount of percentage of loss.
Yeah.
Just because.
I was thinking like maybe 5. Because
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
even driving not like carefully, you would expect, them to cling together and like kind of crack. or
coffee
break.
mugs.
But-
Slight backstory. These are my friends. Like, I'm not involved in this business. My friends are involved in this business. And like, but I am, by my nature of my job, I have driven trucks this big. So I have experience. So I always volunteer myself. And it's me. It feels good to help my friends.
Yeah. Appreciate you. I sure as shit wasn't driving that truck.
And we did that.
yeah.
And
It would
then
have came
we-
down to me, and I don't. Feel
I wouldn't have
comfortable-
trusted you to do
I
it
don't
either.
feel comfortable doing it either.
But like the last thing we loaded on was that multi-tiered
Yeah.
rolling shelf thing of just ceramic mugs.
Yeah.
It's like 8 shelves of just
Yeah, just packed with ceramic
40,
mugs.
I think, per shelf.
40? What are you talking about?
No.
40? I mean, there's probably like,
Oh wait,
yeah. At least, I mean, I
There was
feel
a
like
shit
I'm
ton of
underselling is probably at least 100 to 150 to 200 on a shelf.
There was a lot of mugs on
Yeah.
there was 50 per shelf.
There's no way it was 50.
Yeah.
His eyes are glazed over with red,
But like,
but he seems confident.
we
so.
loaded it up and like we had Colin wrap it real tight. That doesn't mean shit for the interior, but
Yeah.
it means nothing will fly out of the sides.
Yeah.
and we left it. I'm like, you know what? If there's like 5 to 10% loss, I
it is what it is.
Yeah,
we knew we were
getting
getting
this.
this.
That's
Because
what,
like you hit a pothole.
Yeah.
And
We got
just
the big-
getting into that complex is a whole it's all pothole.
It is an ordeal.
It's like what? It's like Bamber.
Very few people listening will know what Bamber is.
Yeah, that's an
All right.
obscure reference.
I will give you so I was driving a truck, full air ride, so the air seat runs up and down. Hitting the main road into the industrial park, the seat shot my head into the ceiling. And I just assumed, because there should be no way.
Yeah.
I don't think we lost anything,
No, nothing was
Yeah,
lost.
not a single.
None
fucking
of the
mug
mugs.
broke,
Nothing was lost.
which is insane to me.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like my fucking stupid wine glasses
Yeah.
and all the rest of the bullshit that I got in my cabinets. It just lives for forever.
They deserve. They fought fate and they won.
And my last tag on this particular thing, when we got back, and I met you back at the rental place.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, who backed up and put the scratch in my door? I'm like, we didn't back into
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, I love that. We were already walking away at that
Yeah.
point, so it like, didn't even
She was
matter.
just like, oh, put the scratch in my back door. I'm like, oh, motherfucker.
She was like delightfully sassy about it.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Like she knew she wasn't going to get a real answer, so
No.
she was just kind
Yeah.
of being a little cunty, and that's awesome.
Yeah, because we were all doing like the literal like cinematic walk away
Yeah.
from.
Also,
truck.
mind you, that like we were moving during a fucking heat wave.
Yeah.
So it was like 105 on the heat index.
It truly was awful
Yeah.
in some ways. Because I mean, I helped load, but like driving the truck wasn't a big deal for me. It was fine. I just took it slow and
Yeah.
got there slow.
Maybe
but
it was
fun.
like the fates, and they were like, we're going to keep these glasses and mugs alive so that you guys can drink water afterwards. But then we just filled them with whiskey anyways.
It was truly like heat index, like 105.
That was awful.
Yeah, that whole time frame was terrible because the exact time that you guys were moving the business, I was helping my mom.
You were doing your
Oh,
mom
yeah, we
first.
haven't even
salon.
talked about that.
Yeah, it was around the same time and kind of similar to the way you guys were trying to do it was like a slow move type situation.
Yeah.
So every like Saturday, Sunday, like
When
for,
you
like
could,
a month
you
and a half,
fucking-
yeah, just move like a chair or move this like
Take what you can,
Yeah.
as long as you're moving something.
well because a lot of that stuff at like salons are like ridiculous, like the sink chairs.
They are.
Like
No, they're
and-
ridiculous.
Oh, I didn't realize it was your mother's salon.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
it was her salon.
Have you not been paying
His, his mother's house. I thought she was moving a house.
No, just a salon, which
Yeah.
thankfully just a salon.
Yeah.
But like I know you can't see this, but I'm short for a guy, and all the women in my family, this is like actually why it's kind of cool to hang out with my family. You feel tall. Even if you're short for a guy, you're like, yeah, I'm pretty
This is
tall.
nice. Yeah.
I just have to reinstate the fact that with our new setup, I feel like Dan is 10 inches taller than us.
Yeah.
He's got the good chair.
Yeah, I have
Moses
the
is
good
just slouching like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
now.
I'm
And I'll
in
tell
my
you,
Cadillac over
You
here,
were you were
baby.
talking shit on these chairs, Justin, but I'll tell you. First of all, they've got like an ass groove built into them. Which
Yeah,
is
they
like,
do.
I do want to say this.
They're like bucket seats.
So, like, without spoiling anything, tonight's episode is supposed to be a little bit different with more people. And keep paying attention because there's a real, I guess we could call it a series of episodes coming out soon. But when I set this shit up for this particular thing to have X amount of people here, it's all this cock level thing. And for whatever reason, these chairs
this
get
is-
right up in your ass.
yeah.
This
they really
is how
do.
you sit in it. This is the only comfortable way to sit in it.
It's like I feel like we shouldn't be doing a podcast, but like the way that we're like lounging in these,
Yeah.
it's like we should be doing like a Coke deal. Yeah, where it's like we're just like eyeballing each
Yeah,
other.
we're just like, oh, we're gonna do a drive-by. I don't know.
50 grand, Dan? You think that's what this is worth?
What makes this perfect too? The audience can't see you right now,
Right,
but you
right.
are a half Colombian Jew,
Yeah.
wearing like a Hawaiian shirt
Oh,
that's like
fuck yeah.
unbuttoned a little bit.
It is. It's very,
Yeah,
it's very
who is
warm
that
out.
for?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's such a
Nobody
I wish I was
wants
wearing
to
my
see it.
sunglasses.
at the bar that we recorded at. We were all at least at like level pegging, just
Yeah.
staring at each other from like the various angles from the bar. I'm looking at Dan at the head of the table, and like he is literally elevated on like a dais.
You
Yeah.
hear that, Al Borland? Mom and Dad are angry.
I feel like if this was a Coke deal, then you would be like the attorney, like the mediator. That's like making
consigliere.
sure this goes down real smooth.
No, but I mean, at your wedding, I was the attorney.
You were. But the hilarious is like, but just the nature of this, I feel like I just want to lounge out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It feels great, you know? Like one of us pulls out a gun, and Dan's got to be like, "Whoa,
we all
we're
got
getting
guns.
this deal done today."
Yeah.
Oh,
let's
yeah, don't look for guns. They're everywhere.
Yeah. Oh,
We got ourselves a Mexican standoff.
we got an
ain't
Easter
got
egg
no
hunt first. We're gonna
Mexicans.
find these guns.
How is this a Mexican standoff?
I don't know. We all got guns.
He doesn't know. You don't have them yet. You haven't found
Yeah,
them.
that's why it's an Easter egg hunt. first.
Oh, like an escape room.
An Easter gun hunt.
Easter gun hunt.
I like that. Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
That is good.
Well, yeah, I mean, to really hammer it down, I know we're bouncing around all over the place, but like
22 and an egg.
this has been like 8 weeks across all of us
Yeah.
of just uprooting a significant
Everything.
part of our life and shoving it around.
Yeah.
It really is amazing. It's like one of those things where it's like, certainly for myself and, listening to these tales and having been aware of the majority of it, it's like, on top of like I had the house move.
Yeah.
My lady's sister.
Oh, she also, yeah,
she
their
closed on the house
situation,
the
yeah.
exact same day
Wow.
as I did.
Which is insanity.
Yeah. But yeah, and then like moving the business was the exact same thing. We basically found out the business was moving the same day as I closed on the house.
Yep.
And everybody said to me, it's like, wow, why would you choose to do it this way? I'm like,
I did not choose
why do you
this."
think that I did choose this? It certainly is not how I planned it out,
But when we had the big move day for the salon, that was like right around the time that you guys were moving
Yeah.
the business.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It was a absolute, like, it wasn't even that it was particularly like a scorcher. It wasn't like Florida heat. It was
Yeah.
just an oppressive humidity. That
Humidity.
Was
Yeah.
just, like,
It was like, I don't want to go get the male heat.
yeah. That's what it's been like for practically the last, what was it, the
For-
entire month
yeah.
of June?
Yeah.
The funny thing about it too is I don't want to go too much into it, but like I was lifting up some salon chairs, not the ones with the sinks, because
Yeah,
that
no,
was
no, yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
impossible.
yeah.
But I was literally lifting them up with one arm, and my mom would like be like, "You don't have to do that. Like, let me help you." And I'm like, "Help me by getting the door."
yeah.
Because I'm the only able-bodied male there.
Yeah.
So like, let me just lift the heavy things, and then like, if something needs like balance to it, then you can help me move it.
Yeah.
Well, ain't that the thing, though? When you have to move, who do you call?
Yeah. You call the nearest son
Yeah.
that actually is like, like I have a bum shoulder. I've
Right.
been working on this
Right.
for years
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And I still like, no, I got to do this. So I got to stretch after it's
Maybe
all
you'll
done.
actually tear it loose this time.
No.
I definitely.
not-
I
done
always,
that yet.
I always think that, and I know that's not how it works.
No.
But hope beyond hope.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, this will pop it out.
I definitely get like, and we've talked about this, Dan. I know your mother; she's a goddamn peach.
Yeah.
And in some ways, mirrors my mother in certain behaviors. And I definitely know that feeling of like, Ma will ask me to come over and be like, "Hey, can you stop by and like move this big heavy
Yeah.
thing, or install this thing? Bring your tools. Fence post is out, whatever." And then I'm like doing it, and it's frustrating because like, it's like I want to help my mother. I love her dearly, but it's never like a good time.
Well, it's something you're
Yeah.
called to do.
Yeah.
It's a call.
Yeah. And then
And
it's
it's
like
something you can't avoid.
Yeah, and it's like, and I am happy to do it. Like, I love her dearly. I love when I'm able to do things to help her. It's just that the time is always bad.
It's never opportune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like I'm there, and it's like, and I'm frustrated not with her. Like, I am happy to help her.
No,
but
it's
I'm frustrated-
situational.
It's the
Yeah,
whole
I'm
situation,
frustrated
yeah.
with like the thing because like I have to like put up this like 8-foot length of fence,
Yeah.
and like and my drill isn't working, or it's very heavy, or part
The
of it is
smallest
broken,
thing
or
kinda
whatever.
breaks
and
you,
she's like
and-
right there over my shoulder, and like Dan, I 100% empathize with you and sympathize with you on it, and but at the same time, my mother is Jewish, so just
Yeah.
perspective
Yeah.
on that one. But she's like right
Also,
over.
very Jewish.
Very Jewish, and she's a 76-year-old lady, if I'm not mistaken. She might be, yeah, so she's right around there.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think you're right.
She's
Yeah.
got some years on her. She's also like, she claims that she's 5 feet tall. That was never
That's a lie.
true. And she's lost a couple inches over the years. So put that in perspective. And she's like right over my shoulder, figuratively speaking, obviously.
More
and,
in your armpit, but yes.
yeah,
I understand.
exactly. She's like right there all up on me. And I'm like sweating and frustrated. And I just like want this thing to be done. And she's just like, what can I do to help? Like maybe if I put my hands here. And it's like, and like, if it was somebody else, if it's like my girlfriend, I would just be like, just stop.
Right.
And like, just go over
Right.
there. And she'd be like, are you mad at me? And I'm like, I'm not mad at you. But it's like with my mom, I won't speak to her that way. So I'm just like, no, Mom. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just don't touch the fence and just let me do this thing. And she's like, well, maybe if I get this out. I'm like, no, it's not gonna. My answer
The
won't be
best-
different if you touch a different part of the
the
fence. Because what I
best thing
told
you
you
can
was
do
not to
with
touch the fence.
Motherly
just don't
figures
touch it.
is just be like, make sure optically
Yeah,
that I'm not doing something the same, which means nothing.
yeah,
But that's about what you can do.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I always try to walk away. Like, I'm not getting into this because I know it's going to escalate to places I don't want it to go.
also, your mom is a special case a little bit.
Your mother's a delight.
She gives it just as much.
Yes.
But
I'll give you this, Dan. And this actually might be, and if this differs from your own mother, then this might be an exemplifier. This is something that my mother just started doing in the past couple of months.
Sure.
So she got wise to that. I was like, because she got wise to that. I'm over there doing the favor, and she's like, can I help? And I basically go, no. In so many words. And what she says to me, this is about 2 weeks ago, I think, is the first time that she said it that I can remember vividly. She offered to help me while I'm doing some awkward fucking up on a ladder, putting a fucking like sofa, into the attic for no reason,
Yeah.
And she was like, can I help you if I do this? And I gave exactly the response that I just told you guys. And then she goes, and she says it in it's classic Jewish fashion. There's there's no tone here. There's not a negative tone. She's not trying to be a bitch, but she's just like, no, I know that I'm useless, but I would just like to help. And I have to stop what I'm doing. I've got a shoulder, or I've got a sofa up on my shoulder halfway into an attic. The ladder is shaking out from under me. I'm quickly losing steam. I have to stop what I'm doing. And I'm like, listen, Mom, you're not useless. You're great at many things, but you're just not good at this one thing. And I'm like, oh my God, even at this age, I'm 38 years old and I still fall into this Jewish mother trap. She got me. And I was like, and it's just a whole to do.
So it's so funny. So we'll talk on the topic of your mother. Your mother is the greatest Jewish
She's
mother.
So wonderful.
Yeah. But it's so funny because the amount of control your sister has.
Oh, yeah. She's a genius.
Because your sister posts shit and it's she has your mom in the middle of a 10-year-old leaf pile.
Yeah. In fairness, the story behind that, I have to give it, I know this is not what we're talking about. In fairness, this goes in two different directions. And where this manipulation lies, I will leave this up to
I have
the listener.
witnessed this give and take for many years.
It's that, Amanda wants the leaf pile moved. And that's very understandable.
Yeah.
Because the man of the house who should be doing it, I guess, didn't get around to it.
Sure.
And so now Mom, who's wants to prove that she still got it. She's still spry.
What I would absolutely say is your mother is very industrious.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to prove a point.
Yeah. She's not wearing white gloves or nothing.
That's good. That keeps them going, it gives them.
We're referring to old people, I assume.
Yes.
Moms.
Yeah. No, my mom's like that too. She's always gardening and shit.
I those old Jews.
But Amanda, my understanding of that story, because I got those same photos actually. I don't know if social media, but Amanda texted it to me, and Mom was apparently gleefully tearing away at this.
She was. It was hilarious.
Yeah. And Amanda had to tell her to put gloves on.
Like,
yeah, exactly. And not for nothing, for being 4 feet tall. She gets after it, She's doing more work than a hell of a lot of 6 foot tall men, in their fucking 30s and 40s and shit.
It's the same thing with my mom. I'm surprised sometimes of how did you move this?
Yeah.
You are 4'11" and you weigh nothing.
Yeah.
How the hell, where is the strength coming from?
Yeah.
But to kind of round out where I was going with in terms of the the salon move, because there is a funny little ending to this story. So my sister on the last day was helping. So thank God there's somebody under the age of 30 here to help move. And it was exhausting. She was how a mother and a daughter are going to kind of go after each other.
I don't know anything about that.
I have no idea, do you?
No.
So we got everything moved. I'm exhausted. It was we started at 10 and we're done at 4 or 5 or whatever the heck the time was. And there is a restaurant across the street from her new salon.
Okay.
And my sister was like, I don't want to go all the way down to where you used to live, sir, Mr. Al Borland. Let's just go across the street to this place. And I'm like, fine.
Makes sense.
I'm exhausted.
Whatever. Yeah.
We go there and we run into friend of the show, Isaiah.
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
Oh, amazing.
Didn't even notice him because I am that exhausted.
Right.
And this is speaking of pictures. He snapped a picture of, and he has a flip phone.
Yeah.
This is absolutely true. Yeah. He runs flip phone hard.
Yeah.
I didn't notice him, so he's just yo, what's up? Or whatever the heck he actually said, because I still don't know what was happening around me. And I'm looking over, and the picture that he took of me.
It's amazing.
I look so despondent.
I am so upset I have not seen this picture.
Oh my God. Let me see it let me see if I can find it right now. It's so great.
Send that across.
It looks like it's one of those
Where'd you go? Yokohama or something? Or
it's the MJ's across the way.
MJ's. Okay, gotcha.
I'm going to find it here. It's
that
so
is
phenomenal.
But like, yeah.
Oh yeah, there. Look at this. It's like you like caught him like what's that?
All right.
Like caught stealing a hot dog kind of face.
We're gonna have to include this in
we'll
the
figure out a way.
YouTube,
Yeah,
And it's like just the right amount of blurry, and like you look shocked.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just despondent's the word.
Despondent is absolutely the word.
Yeah.
because I just essentially done all of the heavy lifting. I don't want to take away from what my mom and my sister did.
No, of
but,
course.
But like I was moving.
You were the grunt force there.
You were on your last stop to Sleepsville.
Yeah, and I don't think I ate all day. Because
Probably,
like
knowing you, no, you didn't.
Because if I eat, then I'm going to get sluggish. So just do it. And I also was under the impression that this wouldn't take very long. We had like 6 or 7.
That's a fool's errand.
Yeah, that was kind of dumb because you knew it was your mom. So
Well, I was like,
it's always going to take longer when a mom says.
While you're here, can you just like reach out of this bathroom real quick?
we ran into something like that too because I have a little bit of a background in electricity. So she was like, "Oh, by the way, I want this ceiling fan or whatever it was down."
Rewired.
And I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" Because it's like, imagine doing all of that, and now I need to go onto a ladder.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yes, exactly right.
And not for nothing, it's like you mentioned your height previously, and it's like I'm 6 feet tall almost, and changing a ceiling fan is the biggest fucking pain in the ass, even when you're the right height to do those things. Up
I
a ladder.
have 3 fans in my house that need to be changed on, and I've been avoiding it for 4 years.
like, and a little bit of an interstitial. I remember because I'm one of these nationalistic economic people. Like, if something's made in the USA, I want it. But there's no such thing as a ceiling fan that is made in the United States anymore.
God bless you, child.
I remember going through like Home Depot and Lowe's where they had that tag "Made in America" on it.
Yeah, they don't have that tag anymore.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist for ceiling fans. So for Christmas, this past Christmas, my mom got me a ceiling fan, and she scratched out "Made in China" and put "Made in the USA," and I'm like, I can read, right? But like,
but it's a thought that counts. You know,
it means she's listening.
So
she gets you, Dan.
But I remember having to put up that ceiling fan, and the only reason it was, first of all, it was a pain in the ass because the Chinese made it, and it's just like on 1,000 freaking parts. But again, I have the shoulder problem, so working overhead like this the entire time, it's just like this is all locking up, and I'm gonna have a monster headache after all this is done.
Comes due.
At least it was all in metric, though. There's that.
But like, the whole running into Isaiah thing at MJ's, I was just like, oh shit,
that is great.
You're here. That's awesome.
I cannot wait to have Isaiah back because he is such a weird optics on our life.
Yeah. He might have been there grabbing a couple drinks, but he was there like picking up a pizza.
Just chilling. Yeah.
And I was just like, I was there with my kid's sister. We're getting something to eat, and I'm getting something to drink. And I'm pretty sure she at least had like a beer or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I want to talk to you right now,
but it's not possible.
But it's not. It's barely possible with my sister, and I raised her.
I don't want to talk to the waitress.
And I truly can't wait to have Isaiah back, and he will be back. Isaiah's the best.
Yeah.
But like, he is like an observer, like a person to take shit down. He will be writing our tale long after we're dead.
We can only be so lucky.
And what's funny about that photo too is that he texted me prior to sending that over to me, because he was like, "Hey man," he's like, "I'm chilling here. I'm visiting my girl." He's like, "If you want to come by," and I was like, "I would love to go and have a drink with you, but I'm like 40 minutes away, and I'm moving a business right now, so I'm fucking exhausted." I was like, "There's just no way that I can do it." And when he sent me that photo, he was like, "Yo, Dan's here."
Why are you so lame?
I would have not been in any position to act. I don't even know. I think I actually did go to the old place.
Yeah.
Because we got the new board, and I actually had to check it, and I was in no actual like mental condition. I didn't have the cognitive faculties to actually check the board. I'm like, I'll just play with it for like an hour or two. I think we were watching like was it The Mechanic?
Yeah, that sounds right actually. Yeah, because I remember like after all that happened, you were like, I'm gonna go and do that, and I was like, I should really be there, and I would like to have a drink with a friend because if I don't do that, then I'm just gonna drink alone, and that's sad.
I don't have the will to kill myself.
Yeah, exactly. But like I'm moving a fucking warehouse all day, moving all my belongings. I've got upset cats and shit. I was like, this is gonna be a whiskey night. It's really a matter of whether I have a friend near me or not.
Yeah.
It is so funny. So our entanglements go back a long way, and it's not worth getting into it. Like after we did the first trip, I'm like, fuck this.
You don't want to do it anymore.
No,
Fuck
yeah,
this.
no.
I didn't want to fucking do
We
it.
got
I know
the biggest
Moses
truck, and thank God you were able to lock one down with a lift gate
did. Yeah.
because we'd been fucked up.
Oh, the lift gate was clutch. 'cause
Yeah. So
we needed the
first
lift
trip,
gate.
fine, whatever. I teeter-tottered the truck down all the way down to whatever,
Yeah.
30 miles down the road,
Yeah.
essentially. Got it unloaded. Go back. And we looked at it, and there was like essentially like a fifth of a truck left. And we're like, no, we'll make this motherfucker fit.
Yeah.
We'll
yeah.
figure this shit out.
Yeah. There's still some stuff left over there, but it's
Little
nothing
bit.
bad.
It's nothing. There's
We
not too
fucking-
much left.
We nailed it down.
It's
Over-
good that we had that extension. Like we had a month of.
Oh yeah.
No,
Right
you guys had the
between-
time. That's a
When you're-
fucking gracious
When you're
thing in
moving,
itself.
you
Yeah.
want an overlap for sure. Because I've done it where it's like
Yeah.
same day.
No, you're fucked.
Yeah,
You're
Because
fucked.
just receiving packages, that made it that
Yeah.
much easier because
Yeah.
nobody, and there would have been no way to do anything with it.
Yeah.
It's a miserable day when you do it same day.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
absolutely, you
It's-
just want to escape into a hole somewhere and die.
And
Yeah.
ultimately,
Yeah.
there is no real winning.
So, guys, the move worked out on my end. You know,
Yeah.
my mom got her business all set up on time. No real problems other than like the landlord was being an asshole for
Well,
some
that
reason.
be
But
landlords.
that's like, you know,
That's to be expected.
that's like a day that ends in Y. A landlord being an asshole. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But like for you guys, overall, like, you know, a to do with the heat and all that stuff, but everything's successful, it sounds like.
Basically
Yeah,
all worked
everything
out.
is
Yeah.
good.
Good enough. Good enough.
And that's the best kind of good.
It is the best kind of good. Just like this podcast, which you should be subscribing to.
Yeah.
Leave us a 5-star review. Check us out on YouTube and Rumble. Make sure that you like, comment, share, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our content on YouTube. Follow us on social media. We are at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you enjoyed this podcast, then make Loud and Drunk your home. Bookmark that today. You can check out some merch, everything Loud and Drunk. We're going to be adding more features to it as we go along. So make sure you bookmark Loud and Drunk today.
Also, if I could jump in real quick, we're trying not to mix things up too much with advertisers. So like, if you want to directly give us a little bit of like support, patreon.com, Loud and Drunk is the way to go.
So for Justin, Moses, and Al Borland, I'm Dan. And until next time, move on. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
just like,
Oh,
yeah.
Keep on moving,
I would love
baby.
to be back again, and I would love it if you could get either Elon Musk or Donald Trump on.
Well, add 'em to
ask
the
them-
list.
I'd like to ask them what's in
I
their
gotta go
junk
piss.
drawers.
Okay. Yeah. We'll work on that. Take it easy, everybody.